Welcome everyone. It's the start of a new year here at Sound Football Club. Very excited to be saying that. We're starting it off with a new / returning family night. I think just open it up to anybody who wanted to hear what's going on in the club, where we're going, lots of exciting things happening. So we're glad that all of you showed up tonight to hear our spiel and what's happening within the club. Tonight we're going to talk about our club, a little bit about where it's been, where we're going, and get into the details a little bit and really try to give you the best picture possible of what this club is going to look like, how the development's going to look for your child specifically across the board, so that you know what Sound FC is all about and what you can expect. We're looking forward to doing that. At the end, we'll open it up for some questions and provide you an opportunity to ask some questions and get some feedback. So just quickly, our office staff, front office staff, myself, executive director, I've been here now for a full year. So excited about that, yes. It was this time last year where I started for this organization, and we hit the ground running. A lot of familiar faces in the room tonight, and very excited to see those familiar faces, but many of you were there in the very beginning, a whole year ago, as we really changed the landscape of this organization. Director of Soccer, Jason Farrell, you met him just a second ago. He's going to speak. He's our Director of Soccer. Absolutely, we are in the best hands with Jason at the helm of our soccer program. Karen Rankert, if you probably know Karen if you've been around the club. She's amazing, our admin, registrar. Carolina Pinzon, right over here. Carolina is our scheduler. She works on outreach. She's really the glue that makes most of what happens in the front office work. So, Carolina. Our technical director, Eugene, you'll hear from him in just a few minutes. David Mugambira. David Hartshorn is our program director. This coming year, David's going to be overseeing our new recreation program in the Edmonds, Lynnwood, Mount Lake Terrace area. He will also be overseeing our JPP, Junior Premier program, our leadership program, camps, and anything else that's program related. David Hartshorn's been with us now for a couple of years, and great guy, and happy to have him aboard. Nuan continues with us as the outreach manager, working in the schools, working in the community, engaging in the community. And then Dave Schumacher continues with us as the manager of operations. How does the whole landscape work? Well, we are a unique club. We sit under two associations, South Snohomish County Youth Soccer Association and North Shore Youth Soccer Association. We are part of Washington Youth Soccer Association and U.S. Youth Soccer. And then we are a part of the other 6 clubs within North Shore and under the 2 associations. So Premier Club, Sound Football Club, then you have NSC out of North Shore is a select club, and then we have our 5 rec clubs as well. That is our family, and one we're very excited about. So it's been a fantastic, fun, exciting, engaging year here at the club. We went through a rebrand, but before we even got to that point, we as a board and as an organization came together and revamped and rewrote our mission, vision, and values for the organization. I'm not going to go through each one. You can find that on our website. But I will say that aside from striving to be the preeminent premier soccer club in the Puget Sound, we are focused on the whole athlete. The bodies, the minds, and the skills. And that will resonate and does resonate throughout our entire mission, vision, and values. Jason's going to talk about it a little bit more in here in just a little bit. But as you go through the mission, vision, values of the organization, the board did a fantastic job of outlining them. You will hear and see the whole athlete, mind, body, and skills. Before we got to that point, we had team managers, coaches, athletes, just board members, just about everybody, staff, last year working through what does it mean to be our club, to be a part of our club. Like, what are the characteristics? What are the main characteristics that move us forward as a club? And how does it resonate? And these are the three characteristics we all come up with: being enthusiastic, being together, and having intention. You think about what's happened in this club over the last year, absolutely been intentional about where we're going, what we're doing, mind, body, skills, whole athlete, our futsal center, our rebrand. Got to get there with enthusiasm, and we came together as a club, as coaches, as families, as staff, to get to this point. We will continue with the three characteristics moving forward, and you will just see as it resonates through our coaching staff, our front office staff, that we take this very seriously. And you will see continuing to move forward throughout the year that these will be three characteristics that you'll hear on an ongoing basis. And see. Just quickly, last year we adopted right out of the gate 5 priorities for the club. We will continue with these 5 priorities. They're such big priorities that we have 5 committees on our board representing each one of these pillars, if you will. Thero's the chair of the fund development team. We have a community outreach team, operation excellence team, actually, not efficiency anymore, it's excellence. Quality programming team works directly with Jason, and quality leadership, making sure that we have the right people in place. We're providing professional development, so on and so forth. Those are the 5 priorities of the organization, and they will remain so. Just a couple of examples of each. Fund development, we have fantastic new sponsors. You saw them in the hall. Edmonds Orthopedic, we have Audi, Concept Therapy, our friends at Toka. So we have been working really hard in the fund development. Community outreach, that last slide with our friends from NYSA, absolutely a priority. Working with NYSA, working with South Snohomish County Youth Soccer Association, and our NSC friends. We take community outreach very, very seriously because, like we just talked about, 3 characteristics, we have to do it together. We won't get anything achieved doing it by ourselves. Quality programming, you look at the methodology, you look at the personnel that we have, our focus on the mind, bodies, and skills. Programming is going to be at the core of developing our kids. And then quality leadership. Look around at the personnel, the staffing, our board, very, very strong board leading this organization. So just a few examples of how we've taken it very seriously, how we've worked through it, invested in it, and have used this to really move this organization forward. And now just geographically giving you an idea of our area. We cover Edmonds, Lynnwood, Mount Lake Terrace, basically the Edmonds School District, and all of the North Shore School District. Pretty big area, right? Huge potential for additional growth within the club. Also provides for some challenges. Jason will talk a little bit about some of those challenges, one of them being training locations and things like that. I live over in this area, getting over to here, at 5 or 5:30. It's been worse. I've been in other clubs where I'm driving in the I-5 corridor. It could be rough doing that as well. So that's our geographical area. We have a lot of work to do in it. We're excited about being in this geographical area and having 2 associations that we play under. Just a shout out to our sponsors. We have some fantastic sponsors. Audi, Edmonds Orthopedic, Life is a Kick. This is the Scott Soccer Tots, who provides our 3 to 6-8 program. Adidas Soccer West. We are moving to Adidas this year, away from Nike, or have moved away. Bothell and Chasen Orthodontics, great partners. They will be our training sponsors on the back of our training tops. Toka, of course, I'm sure you've all heard of our partnership with Toka. We're looking to expand that. They're invested in doing that as well. And then our friend Roselle, who Roselle is the middle name of DeAndre Yedlin, and his new brand is Roselle. And so he is a huge partner of ours. This last year he joined us as an ambassador to the organization. He helped us raise nearly $25,000 in a sweepstakes, and is committed to helping us grow. So very excited about having DeAndre on as an ambassador as well. Just quickly, if you've been on social media, if you've received our emails, you know that we have moved. Right now, we've pretty much moved into the NYSA office because we don't necessarily have an office right now, but we will be moving into the old Woodinville Indoor Soccer Center, which will now be the Sound FC Clubhouse moving forward. We are developing futsal courts. There'll be one large futsal court with 3 mod courts. We'll have office space, a training area, event space, conference room. We will also have a concession area with a nice place for all of us adults to lounge while our kids are playing. Just quickly, I suppose, the administration side of joining a club. What does it look like? How much does it cost? Formation meetings, tryouts, all that good stuff. I think these guys are going to talk more, but super high level. There's a parent info guide on our website, but that has everything that you need to know. So make sure that you get that, download it, check it out. Coaching slates, we've already announced the 11s.
Up to 08s.
Up to 08s. So that's on our website. So boys and girls, 11s through the 08 birth years. We've announced those. We will be announcing the next round of coaches next Wednesday for the next age groups for tryouts. Club fees, they will remain the same. Even though many of our competitors have raised their prices, we are sticking with what we had for last year. Our goal is not to raise prices. If anything, it's to bring them down. And so $18.50 for the 7-a-sides, and then $23.50 for the older 9-a-sides and above. We have payment plans, multiple payment plans. So, and we work with you. We have scholarships. So make sure that if there's a challenge around finance, come and talk to us, because we will help and work with you. There will also be team fees. Those team fees they fluctuate a little bit from different age groups. So if you're a 7-a-side, they'll be less than if you're an 04 or 01 traveling and doing some things. So those fees can fluctuate quite a bit. Our training locations they're pretty much Edmonds School District, North Shore School District, the City Fields, Woodinville Sports Field, Edmonds Community College, Meadowdale Playfields. We try to get them all. And we also try to do the best we can to make a rotation system so you're not just always on the east side or always on the west side. Now that's not always the case, but we really do make a huge effort to make that happen. Carolina is the genius behind all that, making it happen. It's a tough job, but she does a fantastic job doing it. Uniforms will open up in May once you've gone to your formation meeting and gone through that whole entire process. Soccer.com is who we're using for our provider for uniforms with Adidas. And it's very similar to what we've done in the past. It hasn't changed a whole lot. And we'll see how that. There'll also be a fan wear section. So those cool shirts that you see our coaches wearing, there'll be options for, I don't know if it's specifically like that, but there'll be options for hats and other things as well. Fan wear. And the team formation meeting is where you're going to learn all this information of which tournaments you're going to go to, what the fees are for your team. There'll be a great opportunity to raise your hand to volunteer as a team rep and spend an hour with me every month, where we get to talk about the progress of the club and get Q&As and answer any questions that you might have as a team rep, where you can be a team manager to help make sure that the team is successful and communication is there. So we have a social media volunteer position as well. So team formation meeting is very, very important. Will happen, I believe, within a week or so after your tryout as well. What uniforms are we going to be wearing this year? You guys probably want to know that, yeah? Right? Well, they will be Adidas. It's called the Tiro 19. We have, in May, you'll be ordering a white and a blue. And then the club is going to provide a third kit in the summertime at our cost, not yours, and it will be a charcoal. So blue, 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 you'll have white, 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 but Jason's going to have some standards in which you could do a white, blue, white, or a white, blue, blue. Lots of different options I'm hearing. The backpack is going to be provided to you at no cost by the club. So your fees for the training top, the uniforms, the sweat tops and bottoms, backpack, you'll get a soccer ball as well. We'll provide that for you. Socks will not exceed what you paid in this club last year. So $250 for the youth, maximum $300 for the older kids. Our training kit will be black, black, black. Again, we put it out to the entire membership. I think we had a yellow version and a black version, and we chose black. So we're gonna go with black. And we do have full colors for goalkeepers this year, from top to bottom. Very nice. So we'll be posting information for fitting, and you can find out when you can come in, make sure that your uniforms are to size.
So what we're gonna do is I'll just start over here, and you guys can introduce yourselves. As Joe mentioned, we haven't announced the entire coaching slate yet, so I know maybe you guys were hoping to get some insider information. Not going to happen tonight. So don't talk about the teams you're going to coach. Just kind of introduce yourself and maybe where you spent the last year or two coaching.
How you guys doing? My name is Seti. I coached at Pac Northwest and for 3 years, and I moved to Maple Valley for 2 years. Also coached high school, college as well, at Edmonds Community College.
I'm Coach Kante. I coach for Pac Northwest for 2 years now. And a little bit about me, I'm from West Africa, Mali, and I speak 3 different languages: French, English, and Bambara.
I'm Coach Sean. Been in the community for a while, so I was a Bothell High School coach for a lot of years, both the guys and the girls side. I currently coach the Shoreline Community College women's team, and then I'll be coaching, I can say mine because it's been announced, I'll be the 01 boys coach, and then also the 08 B boys coach.
My name is Evan. Last year I had the U10 A and B team, and yeah, I'm excited for this year. I also work with NYSA as a U7, U8 coaching director, working with the coaches in the U6 program, so it's good to see a lot of familiar faces out here today. So yeah, I'm excited.
My name's Ryan Campbell. I've been coaching with Surf the past couple years, and I have the boys 08C teams.
My name's Walt Antoniuk. I've been coaching in this area before when it was FC Alliance since about 2008, I think. Last year I had the 05A and 06B, and looking forward to a strong state cup finish with those guys. And I also speak 3 languages, Portuguese and Spanish and some English.
I'm Jason Dunn. I've been with the club for a year. Coached the 03A girls team. I will coach the 04A boys team next year. I only speak 1 language.
Hi, I'm Shalise. This year I have the 03 Bs and the 00Bs, and then next season I'll have the 2011 As, and just coaching high school at North Creek High School as well.
My name is Laura. It's my first year with Sound FC. I'll be in Shalice's age group with the 2011 B team, and for the past 2 years I've been working as a technical specialist over at Toga Football Centers. Started at Redmond and now manage the Lynnwood locations.
I do want to kind of go over how the tryout process worked for those of you guys that have not been a part of it. Obviously a lot of you guys have. How do you register for tryouts? So you guys do have an FAQ. This is all up on the website as well. Registering super easy, just go to the tryout page. Mostly I want to cover what happens at tryouts. From the time you get out of your car until the time you are offered a spot on one of our teams. It's very, if you haven't done it before, sometimes it can seem like it's overwhelming a little bit, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of kids playing soccer and having fun. Our coaches do a fantastic job in terms of making sure that sort of environment is happening, is taking place. Once you get there, there'll be some registration tents, tables. It'll be super easy to navigate your way. It just will take a few minutes to kind of get yourselves checked in. Each player will get a jersey with a number on it that corresponds with our staff's evaluation sheets. And for each session, maybe Eugene will talk a little bit about what will happen in the session, but basically we want to see your players' skill, ability level, how they handle themselves in group situations. I think it's important that the parents are actually a part of this process too, in terms of making sure the kids come with positive attitudes, that they come and enjoy themselves. It's going to be easier for them to show as well as they want to show if they're out there having fun. A lot of technical work to begin the sessions, a lot of playing, a lot of small-sided games. That's the way that our staff has determined the best way for us to properly assess, where your players are at. It won't be too complex of a session, but we do ask that every player show up ready to play, work hard, have fun, play fast, and just give it their all. I'm confident that having seen this club and the players over the past 5 or 6 months since I've been here, a bunch of good players. We're getting interest from a bunch of good players from outside the club. And it's a process that usually ends up, positively for most players. So that's kind of what happens during the session. One of the questions we get asked a lot is, do you need to attend both sessions? We strongly recommend that you do. Obviously there's things that take place, conflicts, family emergencies, school trips. If you anticipate a conflict, no problem, just reach out to either myself or the head coach of the particular age group once those things are announced, or David or Eugene. You can reach out to any of us and we'll kind of let you know how to navigate that if for some reason you have to miss a session or both sessions. How will my child be offered a spot on the team? Quite honestly, some kids will start getting offered during the first session. Especially as we get into the older age groups, there's a lot of kids that try out, and sometimes you have 2.5 to 3 hours to assess everybody. And we want to make sure that process is as efficient as possible, and so therefore you will see some players getting offered spots during the session. What I've asked of my coaches is that they do that as sensitively as possible. We're not going to make a big deal out of it because there's certain players that won't get offered spots in that first session. So we want to be able to handle that as professionally as we can. Commitment to team, multi-sport athletes, conflicts throughout the season, those things take place, those things happen. I personally am a big believer in multi-sport athletes. There's obviously going to be certain times of the year where we ask that our club or our teams, our commitment, State Cup time is a perfect example of that. I think Eugene will touch a little bit more on those types of things. Team formation meetings, so basically after your tryout sessions are over, everybody will get a phone call within, I think, 48 hours. Whether you make a team, whether you don't make a team, everybody will get a phone call from the age group coaches. Okay, that's something that I've also articulated to our staff. It's very important that we have to handle those situations as sensitively and professionally as we can. Depending on how many kids that are given age group come to tryouts, sometimes that process does take a full 48 hours. So if you haven't heard from anybody in the first day, don't panic. But if you haven't heard from someone after 48 hours, then you feel free to reach out to me and we'll track down. Maybe somebody got lost in the shuffle or something. It's important that when you check in, that the admin staff have the right contact information for you, because those are the sheets that our coaches are going to use to make phone calls. So if you don't have the right phone number on there, just when you check in, just make sure you give them the right one. Otherwise, it's going to be sometimes very difficult to track you down. But I want to kind of go back to what Joe said real briefly and talk about the fact that we're more than just a soccer club. You know, I think it was right across the hall when we had our press conference announcing our rebrand, where one of the things I talked about was the fact that the sound mind, sound body, sound skills is kind of a catchy tagline or a philosophy or a mantra, whatever you want to call it, but it really does drive everything that we do. You know, every staff meeting, every technical meeting, we try to figure out the things that need to be done and how we can incorporate those three things, whether it's sponsorships that we're trying to go after, or you know, how many minutes a U9 player should train. Everything kind of comes back to this.
I won't bore you too much on the stuff that I'm here. I worked for Pac-12 Northwest for 5 years and in the junior program. I was fortunate to live in Amsterdam. I grew up there for 18 years. Grew up in the Ajax system, played street soccer. I just grew up in that environment in terms of, you know, I saw with my own eyes how development works, and I was able to bring some of that into here and into the clubs that I've been with, and now it's exciting because, you know, I feel like I have a bit more knowledge too, because each year, you know, for us, and I know these coaches, they grow every single year in terms of their knowledge, and you know, that's what we're about. We're one of the things that values is, I think we're very humble, and how we establish the curriculum. You know, things are not perfect, but we're open and we're going to make it perfect. We want that whole entire complete player that we were just talking about in terms of, you know, how we're going to develop players. And it starts with the environment that we have. You know, if we create a positive and a healthy environment for the kids, obviously they're going to just grow. Not only is, for me, soccer just only the game, but for these kids to become great soccer players, they need to become great human beings. And so character and values for us, that comes on the forefront. And that comes down to the values that we have in our club in terms of the philosophy. Anyway, David Mugambira is our boys DOC, so he will help in terms of with being out on the field, helping with the stuff that we're going to be talking about here in a second. So consistency, that's something that is going to be very different. You know, teams are not going to be on an island. We're going to make sure that we're all integrating them in terms of what we're doing here. Our intention is obviously the player. We want to make sure that we do everything possible to make those players great. Okay. Direction tech meeting. So that is something that we've started March 11th. Something that we haven't done. We've brought all the program directors together, and we talk about the club and what we're gonna emphasize. So several examples are agenda items, the curriculum, you know, all ages. Now, one of the things that's going to be important in terms of the curriculum, because everybody talks about curriculum, every club does, but you can't treat an 8-year-old like an 18-year-old in terms of how you develop a player. You know, it's totally different. And so, you know, we've come up with a formula for that, and we believe that that formula is going to work. Methodology. So what we do, you know, what the coaches do on their trainings day, what they do on game day, when they talk to players, we're going to give each coach a lesson plan. For the younger ages, from 8 to 11 or 12, we're going to give them, they have to follow that lesson plan twice. So if they train on a Monday and Wednesday, they have to execute that on a Monday and Wednesday. The older ones will get a lesson plan too, but they only have to follow it once. And the reason for that is because, you know, young players, their brains are developing, and so, you know, we want to make sure that the foundation is stomped into there. So, you know, for them to be on a lesson plan every single day, it doesn't do them service. So we found that's the best plan in terms of helping players, and the lesson plan consists of our technical, tactical, physical, and psychological components that we emphasize in those lesson plans. Organization, in terms of, we do coaches evals, we do players evals. That's what we're going to do all for the year. we're going to be very meticulous in how we think about everything. And so the tech committee, it's all about all these program directors brainstorming, making sure that we're doing the right thing for each team and each player. Solving problems and issues, that is one of the things that we do in the technical committee, and guidelines and policies. So how we're going to do it, that's going to be the key. And for me, how we're going to do it is, and especially the younger ages, and this is an example of the 2010 and the 2010 age group, that teams are going to be put in on each quarter of the field. It's academy style. So it used to be where we had all different teams on the field. And so there was just not a lot of communication with the coaches amongst each other, because we want to make sure that coaches are able to see the kids. So let's say a kid is on, we call it the blue and white right now, the A team or B team. We want to make sure that kids are thriving. And so if they need to be challenged, coaches need to be able to discuss that with them. You know, the beautiful thing about this is that we have 4 different coaches here, and if we do a circuit training, each kid will have different voices of each coach, because every coach has something great to bring to, you know, each kid. And then we'll have the older teams on both sides, where the little ones are able to visually see the older kids and how they interact and how they play. So it's a very good visual for us in terms of, you know, player development. And it feels like, you know, we're part of something. And I feel that's the thing that has been missing. And so that's the thing we're going to be implementing. This is something that is going to be incredibly important. And, you know, we are a player-centric club. The player comes in the middle, okay? It's not about the parents. It's not about the board of directors. It's not about the team, director, staff, coach, club. You know, and you probably everyone has seen many clubs and how politics works, or how, you know, people become important other than the player. And for us, that should never, ever happen. That's a non-negotiable thing. We put the player as number 1. Very quickly, stages of development. For us, it's about smaller sided game, more action, more touches. And it'll be in another slide here in a second. But we want them to be on the ball as much as possible. We want them to play small sided games as much as possible, so they get more touches, more actions, more scoring goals, more defending, etc., etc. And then we slowly work our way up to the discovery stage, team structure, and then the focus at the older ages is on team and tactics, structure, and big picture. And that is the 11-a-side game. So this is how it looks like. I designed this here for the technical plan, the pillars of age development. So it's basically the same what we just discussed. For 2011s and 2010, if that's your child, we do 75% technical, 20% tactical, and 5% on the physical component. Okay? And then when it comes down to the older ages, you see how the technical component drops, and how the tactical component starts becoming more important. And then the physical component, you know, kids grow into the body, they become bigger and stronger, so the physical component is important. Trainings are active, and so you will see that kids are moving around. They will not be standing. There will not be there will not be more than 3 kids in a line if we're doing shooting on the goal or 1v1. That for me, we want to use every single time we have with your child as optimum as possible. Training habits, pace and flow, game speed. We want the tempo to be incredibly high for their development. Quality, repetition over quantity. We want players to be coachable, 100% commitment training in games. Now, we're not going to always expect that from young players, because, you know, sometimes the focus level and the developmental in years, but we do hope that you guys will support them. You know, we want them to first and foremost have fun, but also we want them to learn. And, you know, every time we make a coaching point out there, it's important that they try to get that information so that they become a more confident player. Confidence for me is important. Transferring ideas when we are in the game, and then problem solving. Now, this is the fun part, you know, when your kid is asking us, is it over already? That's what we want. So as Joe has spoken about the technical plan, futsal 4v4 purpose with small-sided games. This for me is the missing link in U.S. soccer. I used to play street soccer, 3v3, 4v4. One of the most important thing about futsal is, again, it's not 11v11, it's 4v4, and you get 50 to 60% more actions, more touches, more decisions, more actions, more scenarios in the game. More goals, more defending, etc., etc. So, incredibly good. I'm so excited to have this in our club. Now, creating a winning mentality, there's a difference between results and winning. For me, I think we do want to teach the kids a good mentality, a good, strong mentality. They need to persevere. They need to play 100%. They need to be committed, have a good attitude, etc., etc. Tactical instructions, reinforcing players to problem solve and have purpose, intention. You heard that before. Playing multiple position. I want to quickly touch base on that because, you know, there might be some perspectives of why is my kid playing in that position or that one, and his strengths are there. But that's not the holistic approach. For me, if you if you develop a one-dimensional player, they're gonna struggle. And all the top academies, there's one in particular, the club that I used to play for at Ajax, they are looking for players that can play multiple positions. Why? Is because, number one, you create better leaders because they understand multiple positions. Plus, they also understand the game better. And if you only pigeonhole them in one position, it just stagnates their growth. Yeah. And you want to add something on that? Yeah, go ahead.
So, to add on that too, you know, I've been in the college system for a while too. As a college coach, when you come to recruit a player, and then you look at, well, they play 2-3 different positions, and then you're looking at another one and plays one position, you're taking that one because they're looking and be like, I can use them here and here. So that's really, really important to us so that kids can develop different ways. You can say, well, my kid is very good as a goalkeeper. Well, but you haven't seen him play or her in the midfield. Okay, so that's really, really, really important, you know, in every stage, not only in the big MLS clubs or, you know, the academies, okay, but even here, just in the American now system here, okay.
Yeah, both goalkeepers nowadays are now playing with their feet. They're the 11th attacker. So, you know, him talking about goalkeeper, it's crucial that even goalkeepers learn to play in the games that we want on the field or in our practices. Freedom to take risks. You know, that's something we're missing in this country, are the Cristiano Ronaldos and the Messis. We have very good players in this country, but we just don't have a player that will take risks and break players down. And so, you know, sometimes it's frustrating because you see players that are a bit, and you call them selfish, and you think, yeah, this is a team sport. But you also have to think about, you know, long term. The better they become individually, the better they'll help the team eventually too. And with some good training and some structure, eventually you'll have the Cristiano Ronaldos and the Messis. For me, that is what this country is missing in terms of getting to the next level. We develop players that are hardworking, big, strong, and fast, that can defend very well, that can the passing is getting better, but that individuality is what's missing. And so we want to foster that. This is what we are doing. This is the last slide, so hopefully you guys are bearing with me. We have a plan, a weekly plan for each age group. Now this is for the older age groups. You know, we have an idea of what we want to do from January to June and from July to August. And our planning is there. It sometimes switches based on, you know, what our teams need, but we have to have a clear vision in terms of what we're doing with our kids.
And I would add to that, this so especially with the older teams, coaches will have a little bit of flexibility to deviate from this, but this from a coach management perspective, this really gives us a blueprint to hold coaches accountable that they are teaching all of our players the way that we want them to be taught and the content that we want them to be taught. So this is an invaluable, not only is it great for your kids, but it's awesome for the directors in the club because if a coach opts to deviate too far from one thing, they're still going to be held accountable for what we've identified each one of those players needs. I urge you guys take a picture of those contact information. If you have more questions, we'll be mingling in the lobby, but just feel free to shoot us.
Real quick before you go, thanks to everyone who came out tonight, crammed in this small room.
Togetherness.
Togetherness, that's right. One of the 3 characteristics. We look forward to a great year. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you.